High Hopes in Higher Education, Honoring Black Students' Aspirations is produced in collaboration with Wisconsin Public Television and Regional Educational Laboratory Midwest, putting research into action. Funding has been provided by the Institute of Education Sciences.
When you look at the research, you're finding that Black students, they actually have higher aspirations, so a higher proportion of Black students really want to go to college after high school.
Clearly they have the higher aspirations, but we've got structural reasons why they're not actually enrolling.
The barrier isn't that they're not capable or have the potential, it's just that they don't have the support.
We're wanting to develop a college-going culture.
I want to hear the students say, I love that school, I'm getting ready to apply to that school, I can't wait to attend that school, and I'm going to be a graduate of that school.
In this program, you'll see Wisconsin educators and students taking on one of our state's greatest educational challenges: the disparities in opportunities to prepare for and attend college that face Black students. In the U.S., most Black high school students aspire to attend college, and many hope to continue on to graduate or professional programs. But fewer than 60% enroll in college soon after they graduate high school. And only 40% of Black college students complete their degrees within 6 years. Dedicated researchers and educators are tackling this problem with evidence-based approaches that increase college achievement. You'll learn about these practices and meet some students with high aspirations for higher education. We start by connecting a rich past with a hopeful present open to possibility. Culturally responsive education can make learning more relevant to many students of color. Research shows that honoring a student's culture demonstrates that their own experience is valued.
Today is the Bringing the Gifts My Ancestors Gave Black History Education Conference.
While it's happening in Black History Month, this event looks to the future as much as the past. It's the brainchild of Andrea Davis, and it's inspired by research from the Regional Educational Laboratory Midwest, Midwest Achievement Gap Research Alliance, or MAGRA for short.
Over the past 2.5 years, I've been working with a group, REL MAGRA, to research best practices and strategies for improving outcomes for Black students. A number of things that really help us just reach our kids, reach and teach them in a different way.
We're trying to educate our educators.
If we're doing education research, that we need to communicate our work to educators.
It's all about how we can be more culturally relevant to reach all of the kids in our classrooms.
I want to serve my students to the best of my ability, all of them. And so this is the kind of work that's absolutely necessary.
Just students being people, being heard, being respected, seeing themselves as someone that can succeed in school, That's like the overall message here.
I am somebody. I am somebody.
It's taking inspiration in what previous generations overcame and achieved and passing it on to the next.
Our students are hungry for something that helps to validate them, to help recognize their gifts and talents.
And no one is better suited to deliver that message than keynote speaker Gloria Ladson-Billings.
Dr. Ladson-Billings has always been someone that I look to for how to be a teacher. Her book, Dream Keepers, is foundational for my teaching.
An incredible mentor, colleague, and friend, Dr. Gloria Ladson-Billings.
The emeritus University of Wisconsin professor is widely recognized as the leading scholar and champion of culturally responsive education.
When I first learned of the theme of this conference, bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave, I immediately thought of the image of the Sankofa bird that is prominent during the celebration of Kwanzaa. The word Sankofa, translated, it is not wrong to go back to that which you have forgotten. So this conference is built around successful educational interventions that support the academic success of African American children. However,
Many of these evidence-based interventions involve teachers developing strong relationships with students and offering inclusive lessons that incorporate Black students' lived experience.
The risk is that if they don't ever see themselves in the curriculum, then they never feel like they can be part of, leaders in whatever field or discipline. And so I think that can be alienating.
Showing that student that I see you, I know where you come from, I understand you, and that relationship piece is really important.
But for some, that need for cultural awareness and inclusion can be difficult to recognize.
Culture is the very essence of the human experience. Everybody has it. Unfortunately, those who are part of the dominant culture don't believe they have culture. They think what they have is truth or the right way. When I first came to the University of Wisconsin-Madison, I had students who told me that they did not have culture. In their words, they were, quote, just normal. So I said, well, I guess that means that would make me abnormal. No, that's not what we mean. We're just regular. Oh, that's better.
African Americans developed their own educational traditions, even as they were excluded from full participation in society.
Teaching and learning is deeply ingrained in the African American culture. Indeed, right after the Civil War, one of the first things that the newly emancipated African Americans did was to save up money to establish what would become historically Black colleges and universities.
Connecting with that rich past can hold promise for future achievement.
Today, we need teachers who are willing to see the gifts that our children bring from their ancestors. These teachers have to take seriously the need to read and study and to learn about our children and their culture and the gifts they bring from their ancestors. This is why Sankofa matters. Thank you.
Another gift Black students can bring is sharing their school experience with their teachers. Hearing from students about their academic and disciplinary experiences in schools can be revealing.
Oh, here they are. Without further ado, our MSAN scholars.
MSAN is the Minority Student Achievement Network, and their student panel is the highlight of their annual meeting.
Every year, that is the most powerful learning our adults walk away with. When those young people are given the space to speak their truth in a way that just every single year blows our attendees out of the water. We don't often take that time to be quiet and listen to the students most directly impacted by disparities we see in our schools.
A kid of color does something that's considered wrong or not right, they'll have a longer suspension than somebody that is not of color. And discipline in our school needs to be changed. I feel like everybody should have the same consequence.
Okay, so I think what you're trying to say is if everyone had the same exact consequences, we wouldn't have to have as many conversations like this.
I think that's what you're trying to say. Yeah, one more thing. Okay, and then
there's quite a bit of evidence in the research literature that says that teachers aren't necessarily treating Black students the same way, and that's the core of the problem, right? That we, despite decades of kind of working on these issues and trying to integrate schools, we still have not addressed that very problem.
What these great students are saying ain't nothing new. And I say it ain't nothing new. It's not. You all have heard this before. Preach.
Black students in particular, oftentimes, and I'll say this for myself as well, like if a teacher is if you can tell that a teacher doesn't feel comfortable with you, that it can make you feel alienated. It can make you feel like, you don't belong there.
Students of color have told us their teachers, especially boys, their teachers don't stand as close to them. They don't get the interaction with their teachers who are predominantly white. And so the kids have said, stand near me, try to get to know me in that way. So proximity is one. Another really amazing way our kids have articulated what teachers can do to be supportive of their successes. I need you to see the academic me that I can't see for myself.
High expectations are really important for students in terms of Black students specifically being successful, which I think is also true of all students as well, right?
Research shows encouraging students to take rigorous courses and maintaining high expectations can build academic skills and confidence.
High expectations, access to rigor are often concerns for students of color in multiracial schools. How do you all feel about taking AP kind of courses? There we go.
Okay, so I take AP psychology because I plan on doing pre-med in the future. But there are only 4 Black kids in my class. So when it comes to like group work and everything, everyone's like, oh, they can just work together. I wish that AP and honors classes were more diverse. I've just noticed that like a lot of African American students, at least at my school, aren't well encouraged to take rigorous courses.
So I'm 2 years ahead in math, and I have not seen another Black student in any of my math classes since 4th grade.
Wow.
Also, I haven't had any Black students in any of my honor classes that I've taken in high school. I've had these thoughts where like, I'm not gonna try as hard because they don't expect me to try as hard anyway.
There's really important research that shows that for teachers who don't necessarily believe that students can achieve, that actually really has really big impacts on their academic achievement.
That's on us as students for not encouraging our classmates, on teachers for not encouraging their students. Element LR?
Yeah, that one.
Okay. We should be encouraging everybody to take a rigorous course at least one time.
Some districts in Wisconsin are implementing the mandatory AP course. And so it's really all about having high expectations for students, right? Telling a student, I know that you can do this, I expect you to be able to do this. And students can actually really excel under those circumstances as long as you give them the supports to be able to do so.
Structurally, we need to make sure that we, support all students from where they come and find out pathways for them to move on in education.
So I feel like when you do those honors classes, it's kind of like a push step for your future.
Even if you're scared or if you don't want people to judge you, like, you gotta do what you gotta do in order to achieve your dream.
The truth is coming out, so make sure we keep this rolling.
Adding diversity to the teaching force increases the chance for a wider range of students to connect with teachers. That helps identify role models and nurture educational aspirations.
If you don't have a diverse admin or staff, how do you expect your students to be able to come to you when issues like this happen?
A lot of kids will say like, oh, well, I vibe with, or I can go to them because they're Black or whatever, not like, but we don't have that anymore. We have 2 Black teachers and probably 4 Black staff. I mean, it's kind of sad to know like that we don't have enough people of color working in our Madison district. And I want to change something. Miss McKinley, she works at La Follette. She's new this year. And when I first seen her, I was like, are you a teacher here? It's weird, no offense, but like I've never seen an African-American teacher.
And you get an opportunity to show other kids that look like you that we can be successful.
Later on in my future, I definitely want to do what she does.
We all want to see people who look like us who are successful and think to myself, I can do that.
So we've got a growing amount of research showing that over time, even having one same race teacher can impact college going, can impact achievement.
Research has shown that students tend to benefit from having an African-American teacher. Like all students across groups tend to have higher academic achievement with African-American teachers.
Right now I'm currently in a program called Team Scholars, and it's a program for young teens that are willing to become teachers.
The team in Team Scholars stands for Tomorrow's Educators for Equity in Madison.
And I'm just delighted that our high schools are building that pipeline. I think for years we in education have neglected our own growth and development. We've sort of put up, you can be a doctor, you can be a lawyer, you can, all these things. And I have always said, what about teaching?
Team Scholars helps its volunteers aspire to become teachers and inspire the next generation.
So right now we actually volunteer at the Boys and Girls Club every Monday after school. So I just feel like we need more teachers of color to relate to kids and for kids. So I just want to change it, and that's what the program is for.
Visiting campuses and learning about colleges can inform choices and inspire ambitions.
Alrighty, so right now we are prepping for our BSU, which is our Black Student Union Organization annual HBCU college tour, which is historically black colleges and universities.
So we are on our way to Virginia. We are going to be seeing some new HBCU colleges, and I am very excited.
A lot of rich history on just about all the college campuses that we go to. They get to see more students that look like them excelling.
I actually believe that I do see myself at a HBCU college, yes.
Hello, Memorial School! At the end of the trip, I want to hear the students say, I love that school, I'm getting ready to apply to that school, I can't wait to attend that school, and I'm going to be a graduate of that school. And so give it up for Memorial BSU. We have some undergrads, we have sophomores, we have seniors. I mean, we got it all.
A few weeks after the trip, Memorial High's Black Student Union welcomes college students currently enrolled at both HBCUs and predominantly white institutions, or PWIs, to their lunchtime meeting.
I actually went here to Memorial. So great morning. We all know HBCUs. You've got resources.
From my own research, having older peers can also provide a really core source of support.
Your character will be tested. So you're gonna have all these different cultures and all these different environments all mixed onto this campus that's not gonna be too big.
When I talk to people that go to my school, they're like, oh, I have black teachers. I'm like, black teachers? I ain't even I ain't never seen a black teacher before.
Saying I want to be a black doctor is kind of like, am I going to make it? Like, I don't really see anybody else doing this.
I have a class of 125 black African-American students graduating as pre-med majors, so 125 future black doctors.
So it was kind of eye-opening to me, just let me know that I can do this. There are other people who have done it before me and that will be there to help support me through the process.
I found that being at a PWI, you're going to be really tired of just feeling like you got to go the extra mile to show that you deserve to be where you are at. There is a pressure, at least that I feel a responsibility to represent all black people. It's not the same, but it's like...
For many of these students, their passion and pride are evident.
The fact that my heart is in caring for people. So it doesn't matter what they throw at me at Tuskegee, I'm going to keep going because at the end of the day, there's people's lives who need to be saved.
There's a lot of history at Tuskegee, so our nursing program specifically was the first baccalaureate nursing program in the entire state of Alabama, and that's a huge deal for that to have been at a historically black college. Like, I'm getting chills just talking about it. Like,
we doing this. This is called this black excellence.
To support students on their college path, research shows that pre-college programs are associated with higher college graduation rates. The University of Wisconsin is committed to increasing its diversity. The UW has created programs that increase opportunity for students traditionally left behind. So, if you spend time on campus, you might hear the question, what is people?
People is amazing and supportive.
People is family. People is unique. People is fly.
So I would say that people is, we are partners for college access and success.
There should be no reason why students from communities of color aren't coming to this institution. And we knew we needed to do a more direct grassroots approach
to attract those students. And so thus was born the PEOPLE program, the Precollege Enrichment Opportunity Program for Learning Excellence.
PEOPLE creates opportunities for low-income students and helps them reach their goals of college attainment and degree completion. One aspect is a summer on-campus program.
Students love the summer experience. They get to hang out on a college campus. They get to breathe the air, if you will.
Breathing that air means they may breathe easier once enrolled on campus.
College campuses aren't organized like high schools. You know, there's not really an analog that we would be familiar with. Just the familiarity of how things are laid out can make people feel that college campuses aren't as intimidating as they might be ordinarily.
Jalen Corey is back on campus between his junior and senior years of high school as a PEOPLE scholar.
My 6th grade teacher helped me apply, and I luckily got in, and I love it.
We have the function name, and to call it, all we do is just write the name again.
It definitely opened my eyes to things that I never really thought about. Once I started the PEOPLE program, and I started doing workshops in the summer, like about, comp sci and engineering and everything, that's when I started to learn new things and open my eyes to different things, and that's how I know what I want to do now.
If we can get in those young minds early and kind of help set the expectation with themselves and their peer group that like college is something that you really strongly want to consider and you can do, then that really helps.
But we never called it. So let's call it right now.
We're wanting to develop a college-going culture to get more students thinking about and seeing themselves as legitimately being capable of performing well, succeeding, and eventually graduating from a world-class research-run institution.
Students say, I could see myself being here. I could see myself doing this. This is something that seems reachable to me, attainable to me. Anything that a program that can do that really shifts a student's perspective in that way, I think is a good practice.
How do we ask the user to make a guess?
PEOPLE targets minority and low-income students from Madison and Milwaukee. Historically, these students have been underrepresented at the university.
Let's see if we get 7, right?
The data didn't paint us in the most positive light. And so knowing that students had an uphill battle just by virtue of sort of being in the school they were in, and you layer on the additional challenges of what it means to be a kid coming from a community of color, you quickly see that there's a recipe that needs to be changed if you want a different outcome. And so PEOPLE was designed to be that intervention.
You guys as PEOPLE student with us, because next year as a seniors.
The barrier isn't that they're not capable or have the potential. It's just that they don't have the support. And so we really try to provide a supportive and resource pathway to be able to get to college. One of the most important things that we try to provide for our students is called a pre-college advisor.
If you get accepted to Madison, you will attend SCE, the Summer Collegiate Institute.
They do quite a bit, actually. So you do quarterly reports. They check your grades every week. They keep up with you. They talk to your parents. They're always in contact with you yourself. Like, he texts me a lot, He's always in contact with me.
That's actually really beneficial for a student to have a one-on-one mentor or to have a support system.
About 94% of students who complete our program do enroll in college. And about 50 to 55% of them are coming here to UW-Madison.
Hi, how you doing?
Once PEOPLE scholars enroll at UW, support continues.
We like to say that in the pre-college program, our job is to get them to college, and in our college program, their job is to get them through college.
And what we push a lot of our students to do is really build their full college experience. So not just focusing on the academics, but on developing them as individuals and preparing them for post-graduation planning.
And so having someone there to say, here are some steps that you need to take, here are some ways in which you can feel more comfortable in the college environment and how you can see how you might be struggling in class, and here are strategies to deal with that. I think that would be also really helpful.
The big payoff comes when PEOPLE students complete their degrees, often as the first member of their family to do so.
To feel like I've been a part of that journey and to see how they've grown. And, I think to be able to claim a little stake in having some influence maybe in one of their many decisions of where they're at now. And it does feel like family.
that started within the People program. What was your experience like?
There are people who are there to help you to succeed to that next level, and if you challenge yourself, if you don't just take the easy way out, right, you really set your aspirations and high goals for yourself, guess what? You'll achieve them.
Aliyah Ali Mafinanga.
Achieving those goals is the fulfillment of students' dreams and aspirations. And when Black students across Wisconsin are supported in achieving their goals for higher education, it strengthens our state.
For us to have a more educated populace, we all need to have a broader understanding. And this is really a ground-up conversation.
To get there takes intention and effort, and investment. Investments in programs that honor students' culture and voice, communicate high expectations, provide them role models in schools, and support them on the path to college.
That's the investment that we want to make. We want to be on that end. That's a win for Wisconsin. That's a win for our nation.
It really is possible for all students to be successful. Absolutely possible.
This program was produced in collaboration with Wisconsin Public Television and Regional Educational Laboratory Midwest, putting research into action. Funding has been provided by the Institute of Education Sciences.